Welcome to the Fiscal Physical Podcast. Join us each week as we sit down with the founder of Alchemy Wealth Management and author of Your Fiscal Physical, Ryan Nelson. Tune in to gain valuable insights and practical tips as we simplify complex financial concepts into digestible lessons. From budgeting to retirement planning, this podcast is your go-to resource for mastering financial literacy.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of the Fiscal Physical Podcast. My name is Aaron. I am here with Ryan Nelson, founder of Alchemy Wealth Management, one of my good pals and my podcast co-host. How you doing today, Ryan?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
You know, not too bad, my man. Not too bad. We're knee deep into 2026 at this point here,
Yep.
so we're how's the year treating you so far?
It's been really good so far. Yeah, I can't complain at all. What about yours?
That's good, man. I like it. I like to hear that for sure. It's definitely been a good, it's one of those things you start out the new year and you're like, all right, cool. New year, new me. We hear that all the time. Like that's like one of the things that, people talk about, but it actually feeds in nicely to our topic today about we're going to talk about our annual financial checkup, what to review in the new year. So I'd like to say that was organic, but we did outline that to kind of feed in like that. But today, Ryan, I think we're going to talk about, just doing an annual checkup. We talk about people go into the new year, they have resolutions. That term gets thrown around quite a bit. Whether it be for your personal life, your fitness, anything like that. And why wouldn't we do money as well? So I'm hoping you can kind of talk a little bit about the importance of that, what that might look like for each individual, and kind of maybe give some tips and tricks, I suppose, on how people can do kind of a financial annual checkup, if you will.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, at Alchemy, one of the things we do what we call our fiscal physical, which is the sort of equivalent of a physical is our annual checkup on from a financial standpoint. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we strongly recommend that practice. If you were to be doing it at home, you'd probably be looking at different things than we're looking at with our clients.
Sure.
But a couple things you could do that would be kind of low-hanging fruit that would have the biggest impact would be reviewing your spending, checking savings, evaluating your credit, reviewing your investments, of course, maybe
Mm-hmm.
doing a little tax planning and making sure that if anything pops up that you're still protected. So happy to go through kind of each of those in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome to kind of just give and obviously we'd like to, stress on this. Obviously, everybody's finances are personal. Talk to your financial advisor, your CPA, whatever you might be doing with this to kind of get the plan. But I think there's going to be some good ones in here that are kind of broad, overarching, that can be applied to a lot of different people. So, let's kick it off, man. I'm ready whenever you are.
Yeah. So let's dive into your spending. So one of the most important things you're going to want to do is just make sure that you're spending, that you know where your money is going, right? Which is easier said than done sometimes, right? And probably all of us have, we probably don't want to admit it, but we probably all have a couple of expenses that we're not aware of or forgot about, right? Mm-hmm. So one easy way to do this is sort of an audit. So you could pull the last 2 or 3 months of bank statements and credit card statements. Something that an exercise I do that I've mentioned on previous podcasts is I'll pull 12 months of all of my credit card statements, all of my banking statements and everything. Mm-hmm. And then you just I'll consolidate them all into one Excel spreadsheet. And now you have basically an itemized list of every single thing you spent on in the last 12 months, mm-hmm. which sounds daunting and overwhelming, but if you have even a little bit of familiarity with Excel, you can do some filters and sorting and find some interesting things real quick there. But a much lower ask or less overwhelming would just be go back and look at the last, say, 2 months of statements and identify, hey, what things are popping up that you didn't realize. And then you're going to want to split that spending into 2 different categories. Fixed, there's going to be your fixed expenses and your variable expenses. Mm-hmm. So your fixed expenses are going to be things like your mortgage or your rent, your insurance, your utilities, any maybe Netflix subscription. It's going to be those things that are the same month after month after month. And then you're going to have your variable expenses, which are going to be the things that change month to month, right? Mm-hmm. So things like going out to eat, going to the grocery store, any travel, entertainment, those expenses are going to vary month to month. And then you can start to analyze these expenses. and just ask yourself, what kind of surprises you? Maybe there's a lot more Wendy's transactions,
Sure, yeah.
or maybe there's, maybe you realize, wow, I'm spending a lot more money eating out than I think. So just kind of analyze and say, hey, gosh, what surprises me here? Maybe what I find is for most of our clients here, almost everybody spends more than they think they do.
Right.
So probably what most people will find surprising is when they actually look at this, they'll say, "Oh wow, I didn't think I spent that much every month."
Right. Yeah.
But also looking a little deeper is useful. And then another thing you can do if you're doing kind of what I do, where you're looking at it over multiple months, you can start to see what got more expensive. So you can compare, January this year's expense to January of last year's expense, and see, where did maybe some of our subscriptions? Maybe we got an email saying that Apple TV went up, but I didn't really pay attention to it, and now I'm looking at it here and seeing the numbers, and wow, do we need to pay 50% more for that? Or
Sure.
So you can start to kind of get a feel, and then you can see. You'll likely have some expenses that you just realize, wow, we can cut these out and not even affect our quality of life whatsoever. So that would be low hanging fruit. Just cut those out. Then you're on your way of understanding where your money is actually going. So maybe actionable would be to just cancel or downgrade one or two subscriptions. Next thing you might want to do in this checkup would be to check your cash flow and really your savings. So we looked at where your money's going, right? Your cash flow is going to be your income minus your expenses. So, so now that you know what your expenses are, you can look at what your income is and look at what your income is minus your expenses and start to figure out, are you making more money than you're spending?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Which is, it sounds kind of maybe silly as I say it, but that's a really important detail. And I would tell you, a lot of people aren't really probably sure how close those numbers are. So you can start to get a feel for, oh yeah, I have, $1,000 left over every month, or man, every month is really, really tight. I don't even know if some months I'm positive, some months I'm negative. I don't know. You can start to get a feel for kind of where your cash flow is there. And part of that, I would say, then you can start focusing on rearranging some of that cash flow. So determining, hey, is your emergency fund where you want it to be? If not, maybe start directing some of that excess cash to your emergency fund. If you have any big expenses for the year, if I have a wedding coming up, maybe you're directing some of your cash flow to wedding savings or tuition or a new car, or maybe you're building a deck on your back of your house, right? I don't know, some big project you might want to be directing some of your cash flow to. And I would say, we've talked about this on the podcast before too, but paying yourself first. Yep. So, a good goal would be, as you look at your cash flow, to make sure if you have these certain goals, let's say retirement, a wedding, and building a deck on your house, you can set that up and systemize it and automate it so that when your cash flow comes in, $1,000 goes to your retirement, $500 goes to your wedding account, and $250 goes to your deck building account, whatever. Sure. And then, now as long as you spend what's left over, you've already prioritized your goals, and now you're on track for those goals, and you're not waiting till the end of the month to say, oh man, I don't have enough to put any in my retirement account. Sure. Or I don't have enough to put in my wedding account, so on and so forth. So we talked about reviewing your expenses and then using those expenses to analyze your cash flow. Next thing you would want to do is look at your debt. And so, take a look at your different debt accounts. So credit cards, car loans, student loans, mortgage. There's kind of big five I always mention to clients. So it'd be mortgage, credit card, student loan, what did I say? Mortgage, credit card, student loan, car loans, and medical debt.
Medical debt, yep.
There can be others, some personal debts and stuff, but those would be the five most common ones that I see, at least with our clients. So I'd say go ahead, analyze those for yourself and figure out, where are your debts? What are those interest rates? Do you have credit card interest that's carrying over month to month, right? If so, you can start looking at those interest rates. And if you have a credit card balance carrying over month to month that's 20%, maybe we go back to that last section where we talked about cash flow, and we say, well, maybe our priority should actually be, instead of putting $250 towards building a deck, maybe we need to focus on getting this credit card paid down, reconsider our goals. And after we get the credit card paid off, then we can start saving up for the deck again.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned a lot of good pieces here for sure, but it's almost just like getting it down for myself. Like when I get it down on paper and I can see this, I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. I'm paying 28% interest on this credit card or whatever. Potentially, I should maybe get that one paid off first. And that kind of goes into like, what becomes priorities and what's going to work with your financial advisor to kind of figure like, oh, is it best if I paid this off and then move forward here? Or where should I kind of, do this here? But I think that just seeing it in front of me, I think always just opens up a world of like, oh, that's what, like, because I can look at my finances and stuff and be like, of course I need to pay off these credit cards. But until I actually get them in front of me, I'm like, oh, shoot, I forgot I have these other ones here. Like, and okay, I can just knock that one out. Now that frees up, $50 extra a month that I put into my Roth or whatever it might be along those lines. So I think that's a big piece of this is just taking the time to do it. And then once you see it, you're like, all right, awesome. Like I can now like see what's the priority. And I'd recommend going back, checking out our other episodes on like how to pay off debt and what to pay off debt and those different methods too that can be kind of helpful in this regard too.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that's worth emphasizing is that the practice of doing this is almost the result itself.
Sure.
Like that's probably the most valuable piece. So if you say, man, Ryan, I don't know anything about Excel. There's no way I could possibly do that. That's fine. Print out a statement and use pen and paper, right? Like it's the exercise of familiarizing yourself with your finances that is valuable. I think most of us, myself included, I'm very guilty of this as well, is we're not as familiar with our personal finances as maybe we should be. And so there's debt that we forgot of, or we're just kind of ignorant to, like you said, it's like, yeah, I know I have this debt. Yeah, I know I should get it paid off. But until you get it on, on paper, you're looking at it, you realize, wow, that's how much I'm paying in interest every month. Oh, wow, that's crazy. Like, okay, this is more serious, right?
Yeah.
And so just bringing it to the front of mind, like forcing yourself to have to like confront it and deal with it is probably the most valuable piece of this exercise. So yeah, I would say, yeah, don't get too caught up in, if you, whether it's Excel, whether it's pen and paper, whatever tool you want to use. I think you brought up a good point. Like the act of doing it and familiarizing yourself with it is probably the most valuable.
And once you do it one time too, I'd say like it's a lot easier. Like I feel like the next time you're okay, cool. Now I know kind of what I'm doing. It might take you a couple of times to really get familiar with it, whether it be Excel, pen and paper, whatever. But the second time I find myself doing it, the third time, I'm like, okay, now I already have like the basis,
kind of a framework,
exactly, a framework in place. Now I can just build off of that too. So
for sure,
find out what kind of works best for you. But I feel like that tends to work well on my end, at least.
Yeah, I like it. And then last couple of things I would do if I was going through kind of a sort of a ad hoc do-it-yourself annual review, I'd take a look at my retirement and my investments. So see if you're still on track. Are you saving as much for your retirement as you want? Are you getting your full company match at work, or are you just leaving some of those returns on the table, right? These are a lot of things where, again, it's one of those things. I think oftentimes our finances like this, we all know it's important, but it's not always urgent. So you might, in the back of your mind, be saying, God, you might have thought a couple of times over the last year, am I getting that full company match at work? I don't know. I can't remember. And then you just move on with life because it's not the most urgent thing. You got to get home, feed the kids, right? Like there's more things. You got to get run by the grocery store before you go home so you can make dinner. Like there's more things in that day that are urgent. They're not necessarily singularly more important, right? But they're more urgent. And so it's easy for this to kind of just get kicked down the road. And so, yeah, setting aside time to actually look at this and say, am I getting my full company match? Do I understand what my company match is?
Right.
Do I have any idea if I'm getting my company match? Do I even have a company match?
Yeah.
Right. Like just understanding that stuff. It does take a little bit of kind of rolling up the sleeves and doing a little bit of work there, but yeah, it can pay off. Rebalancing, making sure, if you had, say, 50% of your investments in stocks and 50% of your investments in bonds, to make this example easy, and stocks did really, really well one year. And so now you look at your portfolio and you're like, wow, my stocks grew so much. I'm now at 75% stock, 25% bonds. Well, that's a great problem to have, but it may not be invested anymore in alignment with your goals.
Right.
So you may need to rebalance your investments, get them back in line with the amount of risk you were looking to take originally. So just take a look at those retirement goals. Are you on track for them? Take a look at your investments, see if you're still investing appropriately along with your goal. In sort of maybe an actionable takeaway would be, hey, could you increase your monthly savings, say, into your 401k at work by 1%? Would you even notice that? If you made a practice of doing that every year for the last 30 years for
Sure.
a 30-year career,
Yeah.
you might not ever notice 1% a year.
Yeah.
But at the end of your lifetime or at the end of your career, if you've done that every year for 30 years, your investment account's going to notice the difference.
You're definitely going to be able to see the benefits of that at the end for sure.
And then last thing I would say, well, actually, sorry, two more quick ones. So tax planning, go ahead, see one quick thing you could do for taxes is just analyze your return. Yep. So are you getting a ton of money back? That means you probably overpaid the government a little. Maybe your withholdings weren't set up the right way. Did you owe a ton of money? Same thing. Maybe your withholdings weren't set up the right way, right? So that'd be a nice little quick gauge where you could say, hey, if I either owed a ton of money or got a ton of money back, there might have been some disconnect and I didn't have the right I didn't have my withholding set up the right way, and that'd be a quick fix. Also, it kind of ties into retirement accounts, but you could analyze, hey, am I contributing my funds into the type of accounts I want to? Some of this can probably feel a little overwhelming maybe on the surface, but again, just starting to look at this is half the battle, and familiarizing yourself with getting an idea of where your money's going is probably the most important piece. And then finally, I would say, is there anything we can do to protect your plan? So if you review this, you're like, yeah, I'm in a pretty good spot. Well, what things, what wrenches could get thrown into this plan, right? So, you don't want to have like a bad day, like wipe out years worth of work.
Definitely.
Right.
Yep.
So do you have health insurance? Do you have auto insurance? Do you have your home insurance? Do you have an umbrella policy if appropriate? Do you have life, do you have disability insurance depending on what, your type of work and stuff? Are your beneficiaries on your retirement account set up the way you want them to be? If appropriate, or have you talked to the appropriate attorneys to determine, do you need a will or do you need a trust? Right. So an easy win there would be, hey, just go look at all your accounts, make sure you have a beneficiary or a transfer of death set up for all of them. So that'd be a quick way just to start analyzing, hey, are there any wrenches that could get thrown in this? And let me analyze what I've done to kind of protect this. So a quick takeaway, review some of your spending, increase your savings if you can, make sure you have your beneficiary set up. I mean, even if you were just to do those three things, I think you'd be in a better spot, right? And so I'd say, make it, it's about the journey, not the destination, right? Yeah. So go ahead and just taking any time to look at any of this is going to put you in a better spot, I believe.
Yeah, and I think that you kind of hit on the point of it being, overwhelming to people to be like, oh my gosh, we just labeled, nailed off or rattled off like 6 different subjects of 6 different kind of related but kind of separate things too. And I know for me, like around this time of year, I think like if I can tackle one thing a week, like cool. Like if I'm just going to look at, this week I'm going to be committed to my, my retirement. Cool. Do I have all my beneficiaries? Am I contributing the right amount? Like just break it down to those small, like, biteable chunks, if you will. Yeah. And once you start doing like 1 or 2 of those, you get 2 weeks in, you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'm getting more comfortable with this. I'm now learning a lot more. It also will probably contribute if you're like, oh, you know what? I was spending $300 on subscriptions that I never even freaking used, right, kind of thing. Like now I have this $300 extra to maybe now that I've seen, I have this extra credit card payment that I could just pay that off real quick here in 2 months with this or whatever it might be. So I think just setting it up to be those digestible little pieces and working your way through it versus if you try to tackle it all in like one day, maybe you'll get it done, but you might be overwhelmed and like you might hate it too. And I feel like with myself and just with anything in general, if I like kind of what I'm doing and I like seeing the results, I'm much more likely to put a lot more like effort into it and like enjoy it when I'm doing it too, versus like having to be the boogeyman where it's like, oh, you got 6 of these things that I got to do, but I'm just going to keep pushing them off because I don't want to do them kind of thing. So
100% agree. Eat the elephant one bite at a time.
Exactly. Yeah. Is that the saying? Isn't it?
How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? I don't know.
I've heard that before too. Yeah. Like
probably not.
One of those things that we're just throwing these, but I've heard that one. So I wonder where that word originates at. We'll look into that later, but awesome, Ron. I think this was great just to kind of give everybody a little bit of an idea on, what to, rebalance, what to kind of, check out in the new year as far as your financial checkup, if you will. And but anything else here before we go ahead and pause?
Nope, let's do it.
Awesome. Sounds good. Everybody hang tight.
And now, to put the personal in personal finance.
Welcome back, everybody. This side of the Fiscal Physical podcast. I am still here with Mr. Ryan Nelson, and Ryan, I got a question here for you. Super curious about it. I feel like I might know the answer to this, but then again, like whenever I feel that, you've always proven me wrong here too. Yeah. Like I'm like, he'll never get these trivia questions. Just rattles them off. Like I'm like, oh wow. But so I'm curious about this one. But my question to you is, what's your favorite kind of background noise? Music, TV, or silence? Do you have a background noise that you like to work with or have going to I guess,
Sure.
What's your favorite?
Yeah, so I guess it probably depends on the task. If I like never listen to music, like basically ever. So it's really not that. If I'm doing something like unloading the dishwasher, I'd like to listen to a podcast. If I'm working, it's just silence. I can't. If I'm like actually doing like real work, I can't really listen to something and do work. Even like a TV or music is distracting to me. So silence if I'm actually working. If I'm doing something that's like it takes no mind power, like I said, walking the dog, unloading the dishwasher, something like that, doing laundry, then I like to listen to podcasts. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, no, I'm that's exactly what I kind of thought. I was like, I don't think like during your actual work, you have a distraction. Like, and I'm the same exact way. Like I have people, I have coworkers and such who like they're like, oh, like share your Spotify playlist that you listen during the day. I was like, when would I have time to listen to music? Yeah. I'm working here. Like it always gets like a weird kind of like reaction from people. They're like, you don't listen to music at work? And I was like, no. Like what? That just takes away from like that. I'm using some brain power here when I'm not putting it into to work itself. But one thing I've kind of been like getting into a little bit is like white noise a little bit, but like more of like a nice rain shower or something. I got a 2-year-old kid and he sleeps with pretty blaring white noise just in general to like block out stuff. But I've kind of like started like implementing a little bit of like some comforting white noise when I'm going to sleep. And I was always
called gray noise? Isn't there a word for that?
Yeah, there is. I can't remember what it's called. If it's might be gray noise, but it's a color and then a noise, I think, too. Or maybe yellow. I don't know. Yeah. But along those lines, but that's really the only thing that I do. I really don't listen to music either. Like I'm like, cool, I'll throw on a podcast or something like that if I'm driving or something. But for the most part, like I'm just like really focused on like doing my work. And I feel like it kind of distracts me.
Yeah, I know some people apparently you're able to just like focus better with music. Mm-hmm. It's just not me. So I'm best off with nothing. But something like rain or like the sound of like thunderstorms or rain or something like that. I could see how something like that it could be for me because I'm not used to it. It probably still would be distracting for me. Yeah. But I could understand how something like that in the background could kind of almost help eliminate some other distractions.
It is, like you said, it is really interesting. Like some people work really well with like that background noise. Like it like just like focuses them even more on their task. And it's so interesting kind of how the human brain works with that about like, cool, I got like Metallica blaring in my ears, but I'm like going to do this really complex like thing. Like I'll tell you, when I had a back in 2015, I had a back surgery and they're like wheeling me into the surgery room and I had already gotten the medication I was going to be put under. So I was like starting to fade out and I get into the surgery room and they're like, cool, in like 10 seconds, you'll be asleep. And all I hear is like these blaring music that it's like the Eye of the Tiger, like it's like dun 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 dun, and I was like, oh, that was weird. Like I thought I imagined it, and I woke up and after the surgery, and I asked like the nurse, I was like, hey, like I heard this like music. They're like, oh yeah, that's the surgeon's like hype up music, and that's I was funny. Like, what? And they're like, yeah, right up until like he like starts operating, he like listens to this music like in an insanely loud level. And I was like, and this guy's like 60 who didn't have it. And it was just the weirdest thing to me, but I was like, focuses him in or whatever. So it's all super
He's
interesting.
Like, I gotta get hyped up before I do this.
Exactly.
I've never nobody's ever trusted me with that surgery before.
I mean, my hands are so shaky. But
I'm just an ophthalmologist. Exactly. I don't know why they have me doing this back surgery.
I haven't even been to med school. But anyway, I challenge listeners. I'm curious what your guys' white noise is or background noise, whatever it might be. Definitely let us know. We'd love to hear it. And other than that, Ryan, I think I'm good on my end. But anything else to close us out with?
As always, stay the course.
Thank you for joining us for the Fiscal Physical Podcast. Until next time, happy listening, and as always, stay the course. If you have a question or topic suggestions, please email us at podcast@alchemywealth.com. If you enjoyed today's discussion, subscribe to the podcast to ensure you never miss an episode, and consider leaving us a rating and review on your favorite platform. This helps other listeners like you find the show. For more resources, you can visit Alchemy Wealth Management's website at www.alchemywealth.com or find your Fiscal Physical, the book, on Amazon. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention that personal finance is just that, personal. Please don't take anything we say as advice. The preceding content is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It's not an offer or a solicitation, nor should it be construed or relied upon for tax, legal, or investment advice. It doesn't consider your personal financial situation or objectives and may not be suitable for you.